In today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about scraping on the reed and really how you should hold your knife and how the knife should guide along the reed. Now, this reed, I tied it last week and I did my first day scrape on it last weekend. So it's really had time to rest and I haven't done anything to it, and I left it a little thicker. You can see there's the opening. It's a nice opening. And then if we test the closure, it's got good closure, but it's hefty. And when it doesn't flex as much as it needs to, but I honestly think we just need to scrape in the tip and then maybe even out a couple of thick places around the top of the back area. Let's give it a crow though. It should have a hard crow at this point. Yeah. That's definitely a hard crow. So since it took a little while for the vibration to come in, that tells me it needs a little more in the response of the tip. And how you use your knife in the tip is super important because you want to make sure, obviously, that you don't rip the tip because it's so delicate. So first of all, evaluate where the thick places are. And in this reed, you can tell on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, it's pretty thick. Yeah, so I have definitely a very thick tip to work with. So I feel like any bit of work I do in the tip is drastically going to help this reed. So I like to hold my knife in my right hand, and I keep my thumb right here as a pressure point. And I am right-handed, so obviously you would do the reverse if you're left-handed. And then I use my left thumb to put the back of the blade on, and I use that connection to really help me control the knife, and my thumb helps to guide the knife. So my knife is super sharp, and I always recommend working with a very, very sharp knife because the sharper your knife is, the more the knife will just catch on the cane and glide off. If your knife is not sharp, you're going to press more into the cane to get the cane to come off. And that's going to really compress the fibers of the reed and just make the reed not be as good as it could be. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate my wrist a little bit so the reed is facing towards the right, and I'm going to work on the left side of the reed. Now I could use it straight and then I'd have to move my wrist, but that's not very comfortable to my wrist. So it's easier just to rotate the reed to work on the left-hand side. And that gives me good access to my knife, to the point of my knife and to the side of the reed that I want to take cane off. Good. So I'm not taking a ton off right now because I don't need to. A little bit goes a long ways here in the tip, but I'm going to leave the center primarily alone and just work in the left corner. Okay, let's see what we did already. Yeah, you can see already it thinned it out nicely. So it's not a huge amount of cane. I mean, the tip is pretty thin, and the fact that my knife is so sharp allows me to do this. Now notice how when I went to the right side, I angled my reed a little to the knife, and that was just a slight rotation of the wrist. And my knife here is set a little lower, so I can get on the right-hand side of the reed. And I will, if you watch my right wrist, you will notice as I work closer to the tip, I'm more flat this way. And as I work back, I'm a little more angled down. And that's just because gives me a better angle to work on this part of the reed. Better access. And I'm constantly adjusting this. Like my left thumb is helping to guide the knife and keep me steady. Like notice it never leaves. Okay, let's wet it just a little bit. You want to make sure as it dries out, you keep wetting it. So you can tell this side looks so much better, right? Now we look at this side and it's thicker, especially on the left side. My left side's always, initially, I tend to leave them thicker, not on purpose. It just happens. We all have our favorite sides to scrape on. I guess mine is the right. But again, I'm rotating my wrist to the right and using the tip of my knife making short scrapes here. I'm not making a long scrape because I don't need to take a lot of cane off. If I had a lot of bark on there, I might take a longer scrape, but I want to make sure I'm leaving this tip with some complexity. So it's thinnest at the tip and then it gets slightly thicker as it comes back, but it's still thin on this outside part of the tip. Okay, right hand side. Notice my wrist coming up, and then I angle it back down more to get to the right hand side. Good, it's looking good. Okay, I'm just gonna take a little bit off here. Now, I'm more than likely going to have to take a little bit off right in front of the line, just a smidgen right here because it's super hefty. But I just want to show you what doing that little bit will do. Yeah, excellent. Okay, let's measure this. All right, it's right at 71. Everything looks good. Closure looks nice. Outside edges closed first. And I'm not pushing the crow. I'm using just enough air to get it to crow. So let's take a look here. And my goal today, I'm not doing a whole lot to this reed. I just want to get it vibrating a little more. You can kind of tell my V's a little lower on this side, so I'll probably want to try to counteract that somehow. But I also need a little more definition between my heart and my back. So I'm just going to go in there and take just a smidgen out. I just need to define it a little bit more. I still like it to be blended here, but notice even when I'm working there, I'm rotating my knife like this. So in general, the further up you are, the more angled you're gonna be. So if I'm at the very tip, I'm not working perpendicular because I might rip a corner off. I'm gonna flatten out the angle of my knife more. As I work further back, I'm probably gonna be more perpendicular if I wanna be super pinpointed. And really, towards the back, like here, if I was working beside the spine, I'm gonna start a little perpendicular and then move my way forward. So as you go up, your knife your angle will change. There's no one constant angle in reed making. And each knife is going to be a little bit different depending on how you sharpened it and where your burr is set and what stage of the process you're in. If you're scraping the bark off the cane, you can be a little more ruthless. So you might start out a little more perpendicular, but if your knife is super sharp, you might rip the whole thing off if you do that. So you just really adapt by what your knife is. And I always say your knife should be super duper sharp. Okay, great. I'm gonna leave this reed here and I'm gonna work on another one and come back to this one another day and just let it sit. It'll probably just need a little more out of the tip and then it'll be a reed. All right, I hope that was helpful. And if you want to learn more and how I do my process, I'm hosting a course in March, beginner's reed making course. So if you want to learn to make reeds and you just don't know where to start, or if you're making them and you need some help, this will be great because I go step by step of what to do. And you can learn at your own pace, and we'll have Q&As where I'll work with you and answer any questions you have. So if you want those details, if you want more information, sign up below and get on the wait list because the early sign up is coming up very, very soon in the next week, believe it or not. And special pricing will be available for those on the early bird list. So go ahead and check that out below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.